from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine.
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
What is up, everybody? Good evening, or whenever you're listening or watching this, welcome. Hello. It's good to be here. We are ready to record another episode of Legends Look Back, and it was last night when sadly I couldn't watch the Cosmic Force after the Wednesday night class that I teach, and I was thinking about this episode and was like, I can't wait for us to do this. I'm working on this Roundtable for months, literally months. I've read the first story in this book. We're reading the Star Wars Insider Fiction Collection, Volume 1, and was working on this months ago. Been putting a lot of work into the show, very excited about it, and been trying to step it up a little bit with the Twitter game over on the Legends Look Back Twitter account, and it came to me on the way home from teaching class late last night. The meme was born in my brain. Here was the idea. I posted it on Twitter, at Legends Look Back, if you want to see the meme. If you didn't like it, like, tweet, retweet, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I was over there and decided I wanted to have a stormtrooper with his head in his hands, distraught and sad, thinking actually about the Cosmic Force, which didn't air last night. But I applied it for our show, which was Thursday nights when there's no Legends Look Back, and it was a sad stormtrooper. And then the twist was the other image is a stormtrooper giving a thumbs up, and it says Thursday nights when Legends Look Back is live. And Emily, you called this a dad joke, such a dad meme? What did you mean by that?
I feel like that is just the most dad meme I've ever seen. I think it's hilarious and totally appropriate for the show, but I just thought it was adorable. Great job.
I appreciate it.
I can't wait to see what other content you create.
Freddie, you know me long enough at this point. We're coming up on 2 years together. Happy anniversary, buddy.
Aww.
Coming up on 2 years of podcasting together. You know me that, like, I'm not creative in that way. I'm a creative talker. I'm a creative writer. But I'm not a good graphic designer. Take a stab, Freddie, at how long it took me to make this very simple, stupid meme.
Yeah, so taking a look at it, it feels like you find the meme template, right? You just put it into Word or Paint, type it in, you're done.
Is Paint legit still a thing?
Of course it is.
That's what I would do.
Yes.
I literally...
I think the last time I used Paint was like $19.99.
Whoa. I just looked at my computer. I have Paint 3D. Is that a thing? I've never looked for Paint on my computer.
That's not a thing. There's no way that's a
Paint 3D. Apparently that's the new one.
Well, I know what I'm doing up until like 1 a.m. tonight. I'm painting pictures on my computer with my mouse because that's a great way to do art.
Yeah.
No, Freddie, I actually couldn't figure out how to get a template that was 2 squares top to bottom, or 4, which was what I ended up going with. I ended up having to superimpose the Stormtrooper images over the Drake meme, right? You know, the one where he's like, yeah, this thing, right? It's over Drake, so if you actually peel back the layers on the meme that I made, Drake is under there just hiding, ready to go.
As he is wont to be, I feel. Drake is always just hiding and ready to pounce at any moment.
I feel like he would make a great guest on Legends Look Back. I mean, surely the guy, he's got some 90s energy.
Oh, yeah, Degrassi, of course.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, Drake totally fits the vibe here.
Oh,
Eric, reach out to our publicity team, see if you can get Drake booked. You ever heard?
We're almost there. Yeah, he's a pretty easy to get for Star Wars podcast historically, so we'll do what we can.
That's what I have heard. But you know what? You are all getting to hear this episode of Legends Look Back. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back. We are proudly part of the Eugenie Podcast Network. We are a Star Wars books show for people who like to swing and miss on high fives, just like Kitster for the fun of it, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as dive into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, and I'm joined by my wizard Californian co-host, Freddie C. How are you, Freddie?
Avada Kedavra. Isn't that like the worst spell? Isn't that the killing curse? Yeah, that was probably the worst one to bring up.
Over here, man.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
Hey.
That's definitely
Straight
not
up.
the best.
This is evidence now.
Were you coming in with your introduction with Harry Potter on my Star Wars show? Rick, can you press the button that just nixes Freddie from the show?
Canceled.
Goodness.
Besides the killing curse, I'm doing fantastic, my friend.
Excellent, man. Every time I see your hat, looking all funky with its 90s feel. It just makes me happy, man. It just makes me happy. See, Thursday night
It's a Disneyland hat.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
How many times have we had this conversation? We've definitely had this exact conversation. You know who
Gets
I
better
have,
every time.
You know, I've not had this exact conversation with is our new co-host. It's been a couple weeks now, but you're still pretty new to the team, wouldn't you say? Emily Daybeck, how are you?
Doing well, Jared. I'm doing well. Got out of the desert for a few hours today and explored like the original McDonald's museum. It's like the site of the original McDonald's, and it is not affiliated with McDonald's at all, which makes for some very interesting displays. Quite run down and wonderful. My daughter loved looking at all the toys, and I discovered that I don't think McDonald's ever had a Star Wars toy, but Burger King did. So I got a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I scoured all the shelves, and there were a lot of shelves.
I've got a real soft spot for like classic 90s McDonald's toys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to collect them. I've decreed it. I will collect them all.
And
They
when
will
you
go on
die,
my
you can just give
shelves.
your collection to this museum because they post everyone's collections, and your picture can be like right there with
That's
your
awesome.
stuff.
They
Oh,
should.
do they really? That's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool. One time I went to a McDonald's on a boat in St. Louis. We like visited an aunt of mine in St. Louis, and she was like, "You got to come visit, guys. We've got a McDonald's on a boat." And
I
we were like,
mean-
"All right,
like,
let's do
say
it. Let's get in the
less.
car."
Say less.
I will say, I gotta say, you guys, do you guys remember the McDonald's toys that were the Mighty Ducks, that were the hockey pucks with the ducks on them? Did you ever have those?
No.
Oh, it was the animated show, the Mighty Ducks, where they had.
I recall.
Yeah, and there were hockey pucks that you could just fling.
Yeah.
They were super dangerous, like all good 90s Happy Meal toys were.
Yes.
But those were my favorites.
That is awesome.
I have Inspector
There were some
Gadget
good
still.
ones.
You
Oh,
got
and
the whole thing, Freddie?
Tamagotchis.
Oh, yeah.
That's how
I
I
do
got
too,
them.
man. I've got the whole Inspector Gadget. The Tamagotchis, they were McDonald's toys?
Yes.
Man, this could easily be an entire podcast,
Easily.
couldn't it?
I
Apparently.
know. We could
Now
keep
we know what
going,
we're
but
doing
I have
this next
pictures.
April
I'm very
Fool's Day.
excited. I might share them in Discord. Who knows?
That's excellent. That'd be a great place to share it. We are, of course, very happy to have a very special guest on this episode, making his fourth time on Let's Look Back. It's been a few.
Yeah.
Might be number one out of number of appearances, out of special guests. I'm not totally sure, but he's a very special guest. We like to call him around here the man of 1,000 podcasts, Eric Eilersen.
Hello. Thank you all for having me back. I am so excited to talk some Legends. I am contractually shackled by the bonds of canon on the Living Force. Hashtag joke, hashtag not a joke. But no, I'm very excited to come back and talk to y'all. I love your new look. I've been loving hearing you guys back last week. And when Jared reached out and was like, hey, we're coming off hiatus. We're going to do this episode that he said in the intro we've been working on for literal months.
Yeah.
I got very, very stoked.
Eric, I love your shirt, by the way. It
Thank
says,
you.
I think it says Ronin,
Yeah,
right?
this is the Star Wars
Yeah.
Visions, which in honor of this week's release on the Disney Plus. And this is the dual shirt, which is also, in my mind, a Ronin book shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. In the South, we call it Ronin.
Ronin?
You said it with so much finesse, Freddie. I love that.
Ronin?
Now,
Yes. It's lovely.
Eric, being on the show here to talk about what is admittedly a weird Legends book, even for us.
Yeah.
Definitely an unusual book, in so many ways. Do you know, here's the big question.
Yes.
Do you even know why you're on this particular episode? I'll give you a hint. There are two reasons.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Is it one, because I don't have as much Legends knowledge, and some of these are very inside baseball Legends stories, and that's funny?
No, but that's good.
That's
I
my
like
role.
that. We're adding,
All right,
adding it to the list.
solid. Is it because these stories are anthologies that have nothing to do with each other, whereas I am kind of an anthology host that has nothing to do with the rest of you?
Well, that is interesting.
Okay.
No, neither of those are exactly my reasoning, but I guess that does work. On the one hand, and we'll talk about this with this book, in some ways, it's a decent book to pick up if you don't know much about Legends.
Yes.
Because you can read a story and be like, whoa, I definitely have no idea what's going on there. I don't want anything to do with what's happening in this story.
Yep, there's a couple.
Or you could get to a story and be like, I've got to know more about this character, about the setting, I got to read more from this author, so it's kind of a good jumping on point. That was not my initial reasoning, though. Here's the reasoning.
Yes.
You posted in the Discord or somewhere on Twitter that you bought this book and we're reading it. Therefore, I asked you to come on the show. It was as simple as that.
That's true.
There is a little secret. If you want to be a guest on Legends Look Back, just show me that you're reading the book, and you'll probably get asked.
I did the assignment, and that's a key thing because, behind the scenes, as a host on Living Forest, a lot of the canon books do get sent to me for a review, and I get them for free, and then I buy all the other editions. But this book, I just paid for it because I know my Legends friends need more Legends content, so I voted with my wallet, made sure I pre-ordered it, and I like to think I'm one of the reasons that Volume 2 is quote-unquote coming soon.
Yeah, that's right. It's delayed a little bit. It delayed even more than it was last week.
Yeah.
But it's totally fine. Totally fine. I do appreciate buying the book because then it means that people like us who capital N need this book.
Yeah.
We get it.
We're all
we get
one
it, and we
family.
get another one. And we're going to talk about this before the episode's over. We're going to think about our hopes for what a future volume could be, particularly if we followed a specific theme rather than the absolute mishmash hodgepodge of random stories that this book is, which isn't causing me any problems
Jared,
at all.
it's madness. Jared, this book is madness. This is a little
I'm so
tease.
glad I'm not the only one.
No, this book
I
has
was like,
has
I am
zero
so
order.
confused.
There is some order. I've managed to discern some rhyme or reason. We'll get to it more in a
my
minute.
gosh.
But first, I do want to at least welcome our producer to the show, who we actually had to bump off of the 4-person view because we couldn't figure out how to squeeze Eric into the 5-person view.
My fault.
Welcome, Rick. Glad to have you here, man.
I'm here. I'm in isolation apparently,
Yeah,
but it's cool.
Over there in the corner.
Part of the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isolation ain't no thing by this point in our existence, right? Come on. How long has it been? We know how this
Right.
works.
But yeah, hopefully I'll say a thing or two, and you'll get to see my very purpley room today because my camera got, I guess, blown up with saturation.
This looks
or something,
awesome.
but
I love it.
It looks great. Very 90s.
I'm gonna throw
I
it
like
back to y'all.
It kind of
It
looks
is
like a
good,
backlight.
actually.
A black light?
Yeah.
I like it.
It's
We all have some purple going
it's
on
just
tonight.
purple, yeah, but it's just a lot, I guess. So my camera's my camera's not happy with it.
Yeah. Well, it's a very Mace Windu-inspired show right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got some purple behind me in my my LED strip lights behind my panels over there.
Just-
Not because I wanted them purple, but because my kids discovered they could change the colors with the remote. And I can't figure out how to change it back. So that's fun. We'll see what color it is next week. Stay tuned. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday night here on youtube.com/utini.
That's right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Freddie, as we enter into our segment, that we're going to have a flashy graphic for it one of these days with Thraken Sal Solo carrying a Santa sack over his shoulder. It's
I
what
love
that
it.
we like to call Thraken's Thrift Store. Your purple shirt there, speaking of purple, has reminded me. The first item that I have tonight to show off is, in fact, the clothing that I am wearing. I bought this Nintendo
Oh, man.
64
Oh.
shirt at Target the other
gorgeous.
day.
Nice.
And I saw it, and I had to buy it. And Emily, it's all your fault because I was jealous of your Rocket Power shirt. And I started thinking I need to buy more wardrobe items specifically just to wear during Legends Look Back.
I think that was a
You know,
good choice.
I'm not gonna lie, Jared.
It looks
I saw
good.
that same shirt at Target, and I was like, "Man, I should get this." Nah, I bet Jared will get the shirt, so I won't.
Did you really?
Yes,
oh my
not even
gosh.
lying.
That's amazing.
Target shirts are so comfy.
They
like
are.
they've stepped up their game in the last year that the material just feels nice. And they know that it's all of us millennials that are wanting to buy t-shirts again, so they're doing that stuff. It's perfect. It's a great shirt.
Actually, I bought this
The
shirt
issue
instead. Now
is-
that I think about it, so
Oh,
from
you got
Target.
one.
It's
What
just
is
a
it?
Star Wars shirt that says Star Wars something about a galaxy far, far away, but it's from Target. So, literally, it was a transaction. I didn't get N64, and I got this shirt instead.
Oh, awesome.
looks
I just saw
great.
tonight, speaking of N64, that the N64 controller, they're releasing a wireless version that's compatible with the Switch.
What?
They just announced it tonight at the Nintendo Direct, so excited
That's
about that.
cool. Also,
Yeah.
Jared, I'm
That's
making
a
a note.
game changer
After I
for
get
me.
off the phone with Drake's agent, I'll call Target and make them a sponsor. So you're giving me a nice to-do list here.
Perfect. Actually, their shirts were affordable compared to the 3 hours worth of Power Rangers shirts that I looked at last week that I almost
All right, that's enough free publicity
Seriously.
for Target. That's enough until I start
All right.
paying us. I think that's good.
Anybody else have anything else to show off? Any new acquisitions for Thraken's Thrift Store?
Yes, I'm very excited. I went to an actual thrift store and I found, I think, actually 10 Legends books. So I'm going to be really fast. This
No
was
way.
the only one I recognized. Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. Already read it,
Excellent.
bought it because it
We're
was a
reading
quarter.
it. That's going to be our November or December roundtable. We're going to do it pretty soon.
I also have Star Wars: The New Jedi Order, Rebel Dream. Never heard
Massively
of it.
underrated book. Very
Star Wars
massively underrated.
Coruscant Nights, 1 and
okay.
2.
I just read those this year. They're
Okay.
Good,
I
not great.
have Star Wars, what is it? Dark Nest, 1 and 2, The Joiner King and the Unseen Queen.
I will say nothing about those books. You're just going to have to read them.
The bugs on the front make me very intrigued and also very weary.
Oh, there's bugs, and here's a hint. They do very naughty things, those bugs.
Okay, that'll be at the bottom. So here we got Star Wars Legacy of the Force, Betrayal and Fury. These ones.
Excellent.
And then last two, we've got Star Wars Slave Ship and Hard Merchandise. These are like from the Bounty Hunter Wars. Only book 2 and 3. So I'm going to have to find
Those
book
are good.
1 somewhere. I don't know where it is.
solid.
But
You
these
just
are
jump
like,
in book 2. Just
legit.
jump in book 2.
I know, I was so excited because I check every time I'm at the thrift store, and it's a very small installation. So I was surprised that they had anything at all. And then they had all these, so I was like, and this is all coming with me. No place
I'm
to put
literally
them.
giddy
But
just thinking about you getting these in a thrift store. Like, you don't have many physical books? This
No.
is like, oh, I'm so excited.
So cool.
I'm very, very excited. So I'll have to pick one and go from there.
All right, Freddie's got something.
Yeah,
what
do
you got,
got
Freddie?
there?
Well, I don't know if you can tell what this is. This is plastic in the shape of what looks like a stormtrooper, right? Well, I've also got.
Is it
a
your
couple other
Halloween
pieces.
bucket? Are you going trick-or-treating, Freddie?
It's a
Oh,
costume.
no, it's actual armor. Oh, cool.
There's a lot here. I mean, there's the whole thing is sitting right next to me. So.
Oh my gosh.
Next week, I expect you to record the whole show in the armor.
Absolutely.
I have to build it
agree.
still. But I don't know
interesting
if
you have to
everyone
build it.
remembers. Yeah, I was building an R2 unit, a
Yeah.
full-on R2 unit, and
I've seen the
then
chat for the
pandemic
R2.
happened, and then before you know it, I came back to the office and it was gone. Everything was gone, and someone had just thrown it all away.
I
So,
remember.
What?
That was terrible.
got to start a new project.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Every time I look at an R2 in any form or fashion, whether it's on the movies, in a show, the one I've got over here in the corner, every time I see it, I get sad, and I think about your dead R2, Freddie.
I'll rebuild it.
I love
I'll
that.
rebuild it one of these days.
Ooh, I have a quick Thraken
What you
Sal
got?
Solo Santa Sack thrift store. That's so hard to say.
Yeah,
So
it is.
this I got since last time I was on, and because we talked about it on Living Force, I want to show off my Darth Plagueis hardcover I was able to obtain recently.
Gorgeous.
Plagueis has been a huge hot button topic lately in our team, so I actually want to reread this. And now that Queen's Hope has gotten pushed to April, I think I might have time. And I got some Funko
Maybe.
Pops recently.
It's a long book.
It is, but you all know I have a couple Funkos.
Yeah.
And
Just a
what I want
few.
to show off is this is Legend specific because it's comic-esque. I got these Target exclusive comic book Funkos, and if you look at them closely, they're like cell shaded, and they're all based off the
Oh,
original
man.
comic book line.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that from
so
here.
I got
That's
Luke,
awesome.
and then my Stormtrooper actually should have. It might be downstairs now. But I also have the Vader, which has this insane coloring.
That's cool.
And these are my favorite Funkos I've ever gotten, but they're all based
Wow.
on the classic Legends comics. So, bam, Legends stuff for me.
Those were on
Wow.
the fence for me. I couldn't decide if they qualified as legends. Apparently they did, so I now have to order them. Don't tell my wife.
Absolutely not.
Now, did you just reveal that you have a 2-story Funko Pop collection? Is that what we just heard?
A 2-story Funko Pop collection?
You just said they were one's downstairs.
Oh, sorry. I mean, in my build, I live in an apartment building, and I think one of my Stormtroopers is supposed to arrive today, and when we get packages, they leave them downstairs. It's not that
yeah,
fun.
let's go with the 2-story
That being
collection.
said,
That's pretty
I
cool.
did buy tiered display things on my desk now, so I literally have 3 tiers of display Funkos in front of me at this exact moment.
Oh my
So that
Oh, wow.
counts.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Fine.
Awesome.
It's great.
I have one more thing I'm going to show off quickly before we move on to Legends news. There's a few things we have to cover. I did get one more very cool collectible in the mail yesterday. It was one of these packages. I almost didn't open it until live on the show, but I couldn't help myself. That'd be fun to do an unboxing because I literally had no idea what was in the box. I could not remember what I had ordered. And
Great.
then it showed up. In fact, it was headless. I had it was missing its head. I got this mini bust of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and the head was snapped off in the box.
What a picture to get.
Oh.
Rather than sending it back, it was a clean break. I decided I would be able to just super glue it because it would be just ridiculous to have to mail it back and get a new one. Then you risk it breaking in a worse place. Anyway, he looks super happy about the fact that the big bad toy store snapped his head off. En route.
Jared, I gotta say,
look how happy he is.
that rehab you did, it's very artistically done. I gotta say.
Oh, thank you. Everybody give Eric a round of applause. And
I said
Rick,
the
can you go ahead and
thing!
send him out of the room? Yeah, just boot him off. Now, we do have a few pieces of Legends news we have to cover before we get into our roundtable tonight. We're going to keep it snappy. See, this is why we don't do all the extra pre-show little bits before we get into the roundtable, because, we got other stuff to talk about. So we're going to get through these quickly. These do deserve more time than we're going to give them. One thing, everybody, very quickly, your first impressions of Star Wars Visions, which came out yesterday. Go.
Loved it.
About as disorienting as this book we're about to discuss,
Yeah, definitely.
in my opinion.
I'll say this. I haven't had the proper time to give it yet. When that day happens, I will let you know.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We'll wait a year and a half for Freddy's review.
That's it. I watched them all in a day. Number 1, Village Bride. Number 2, The Duel. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched them all at the laundromat, which was weird. So our washing machine is broken.
That's unique.
Well, yeah, definitely. So I
not
feel like
expect
that maybe for the rest of my life, when I rewatch these, I'll just smell dryer lint or
That's not
whatever you
bad.
call that stuff.
I feel like the
Yeah,
laundry
no,
smells good, but, also like the book we're about to discuss.
It was great. I
Dang.
really enjoyed it. What was fun about it was that it's definitely like diverse perspectives.
Yeah.
And man, we'll have to talk more about it. What's fun is there's been a lot of online discourse about whether or not it fits into Legends continuity, because it doesn't fit into canon continuity. And
Therefore,
I don't feel the need to make it fit into a category. And here's our whole thing about Legends on this show is enjoy good Star Wars stories because they're good stories. All of it's make-believe anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But
If you take it too seriously, you might disappoint yourself.
you know what else we're definitely going to take too seriously? There was an announcement made yesterday, just in time. As soon as I saw this, I just scrambled to throw it in the show notes. Disney has declared, like the authoritarian empire that they are, November 12th is Disney Plus Day. Nothing you can do about it. It's going to happen.
Deal with
Yeah,
it.
the 2-year anniversary of Disney Plus is coming our way. The only way I could remember that is that we've had 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. So, 2-year anniversary, they are releasing a series of fun goodies coming out on Disney Plus for free. No, not really. You have to pay for it. And one of them is a Boba Fett special that's coming to Disney Plus just around the corner on November 12th. And it's being described as, and I'm hoping, dying, that they will talk about some of the Legends history of Boba Fett. So we'll see.
Yes.
They're calling it a special celebrating the origins and legacy of Star Wars legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett. Freddie, are you watching it the second it drops or 2 seconds after it drops?
I have a lot to catch up on, including Bad Batch and admittedly Clone Wars. Just trying to get through this Masters so I can have some free time.
Yeah, I feel you.
But this one right here is definitely a priority, so it's going to jump the line quite a bit.
Speaking of Boba Fett, we've got a little bit more Boba Fett news. Rick, did you manage to get this one queued up for the show? This was something that dropped today. Today, Target announced that there is an exclusive line of action figures, part of the vintage collection. We've got the Star Wars holiday special Boba Fett, I guess. They're packaging it as droids. Was Boba Fett in droids? Anyway, we've got action figures for
so.
Boba Fett, R2-D2, and C-3PO based off of their 80s droids appearances. Coming soon. We'll post it to the Legends Look Back Discord channel. Definitely some cool stuff there. I don't really collect action figures, but definitely going to have to get these. How about you guys?
Oh, totally. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Belongs right,
I heard
right back
Freddie
there in my...
scream through the force when this was announced, so...
Yeah, I was tagged, too. And someone, I forget who it was. Maybe it was you, Eric.
It definitely was. Because I love you.
Yeah, Eric tagged me, and I was like, oh, man, I just bought a whole kit for a 501st grade stormtrooper, but just going to have to pull out the wallet again.
No, they've been doing good with the Legends figures, especially for, like, like again, not so much of my Funko world seems to be mostly the canon stuff, but the Legend stuff, they're packaging nicely. I really like the back cards on these. They looked really cool. So massive respect to them deciding, you know what, the Droids cartoon figures, that's the next thing. Like someone had to decide that.
Now, I saw a really cool thing online. I haven't decided if I'm going to take the plunge on this or not. I accidentally bought an extra Thrawn Black Series 6-inch that's still in its box over there. I saw somebody online, I forget who it was, they bought an extra Luke, this one here, the one, the what do you call these things? The 50th anniversary Heir to the Empire figure.
Mm-hmm.
They bought an extra Luke, and they took it out of the box, and they got the Ysalamari off out of the package, and they draped it around Thrawn's neck.
Oh, that's cool.
And I might just have to do that.
That's pretty awesome.
Stay tuned. I'm going to spend an extra $15 just to get the little Ysalamari.
Wow.
Which is just the most ridiculous thing.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I love that.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And then nobody can use the Force in my room. That's the rule.
That's it.
Now, before we move on into Matt Davenport. Yeah, it was our Living Force producer, Matt.
Yes.
Not producer. What is he? Editor? What do you call
Our
Matt?
podcast editor and Cantina of Comics host.
That's right.
Yes.
Excellent. Matt, everybody knows Matt. So Matt's the one that did that, and it was just a brilliant idea. I might just have to do it. Now, before we move on into the roundtable proper, one last bit of Legends Lookout, and that is this. Eric, since the last time you were on.
Yes.
Hey, just a couple weeks ago, we had a Knights of the Old Republic remake announced, and I just want your quick take on the KOTOR remake. How excited are you for this? Have you played the game? Are you going to buy a PS5 just to play this thing?
I am beyond excited for this. I was lucky enough to be one of the people that have a PS5. It's in the back right there. I got it pre-ordered last year when we were all at home, and that's what I did. So I have the console. I played KOTOR for the first time 3 years ago. I was on my iPad.
Fairly recent?
Yeah. I played it when I was a kid, but I never got past a certain point. But I played it in its entirety 3 years ago on my iPad and had a great time. I'm so beyond excited for it to be remade. I'm hoping for something akin to the Final Fantasy VII remake, so I want some active combat would be cool, but that frame alone where they showed Revan in the beautiful 4K gave me all the goosebump and the goose pimples and the happiness, so I will be getting that day one. I might take the day off of work to play it. Can't wait.
Wait, did you just say KOTOR gave you pimples?
Goose pimples.
What?
You never heard the phrase goose pimples? It's like goosebumps. I mean, I know it is goosebumps. It's the same thing.
Hold on.
I've heard
My
it.
lights
I've heard
just
it
changed
before.
Why are your
color
lights
behind
red now? Are you mad at me?
Me. They just what's happening? Scared me to death. Just like
They're talking about
Oh my God.
KOTOR. It's like, did you say it gave you pimples? My goodness.
do it. Here's my hands. Oh my gosh. All right. Speaking of KOTOR, we do have a little bit here in the chat from our buddy Jacob, the Spyston. He says, we also got the KOTOR, the original version, coming to Switch. It was just announced part of this Nintendo Direct that they did tonight that the original KOTOR, I'm so scared of what's happening behind me, that the original KOTOR is going to come out on the Nintendo Switch. So, do I need to play this through for the 11th time? Let me know in the chat. Before we get into the meat of the show, we are going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be right back to talk about this beauty, the Star Wars Insider, the Fiction Collection, Volume 1. Tonight we are talking about a Star Wars book unlike any other. It is a mix of canon and legends. That's the other reason, Eric, why I invited you on the show.
dang it!
Is
I knew that one.
As the canon guy, there's some canon stories in here. So we had to have a canon representative so that we're not going to talk about those stories, but we at least had to have you here as a gesture. It's a mix of both canon and legends, which was divisive. We'll talk about that. It is the first hardcover from Titan Magazines, I think. It is the first time that exclusive fiction from Star Wars Insider magazine has been collected in a volume to itself. It's an experiment and a precedent in what looks like a promising new pattern for the publisher, and I could not be more excited. And we're going to talk about it here tonight. Star Wars, I've messed up this title 1,000 times.
Here we go.
Star Wars Insider, the Fiction Collection, Volume 1 is the title.
There you go.
And it's got that big Legends banner across the top, even though it's got some canon stories in there. But there's so much to talk about with this book, so much. But first and foremost, I'm going to throw it to you, Emily. Give us the kind of stats of Star Wars Insider. What are we looking at here? What's the history with all of this stuff?
Sure. So by the numbers, it was released by Titan Magazines on May the 4th, 2021. There are 144 pages. It is a hardcover, and 99 of the pages are legend stories and art from issues 125 through 172. There are 19 total stories. 13 are legends, 6 are canon. And was a mix of canon and legends the right move? I don't know.
That's
What do
the
you
question,
think?
isn't it?
I think so. I think that it's a nice way for them to incorporate them both, kind of doing the thing that we always say at UTN is the thing to do, to like just read what you like, and that's kind of fun. Although it is confusing because it does have legends on the front.
Yeah, it is.
It's a
What do you think, Frank?
confusing package, but I'm glad they did it how they did. Period.
Okay.
Question mark.
Yeah. That's a good question, man. I don't really know what someone's going to have to tell me why they chose these stories and the order they chose them. To me, it might have just been like, well, let's just give them a little bit of, the spectrum, and then volume 2 might be targeted. I have no idea. Personally, I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think volume 2 is also a mix, and I'm fine with that. Now, on the like sales perspective, I can imagine that if they were just going to release a book that has just legend stories, well, you got to market a certain percentage of the fandom that's going to buy the legend stories because they're legends people.
Right.
Looking at us, definitely for sure. If you just marketed the canon stories, well, those are going to go to a certain sector of people. What this does is everybody has to buy it. From a money-making standpoint, if you're a legends person, if you're a canon person, everybody's got to shell out for this, right? So I appreciate that. Now, I've divided it up another way, which is most of these stories take place in a pretty contained IRL time period. Most of these were released in the legend stories are from 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Pretty tight.
Pretty succinct, yeah.
Right, section of time there. And then secondly, the canon stories, they're pretty much the early canon Star Wars Insider stories, plus all of the Blade Squadron saga collected into one volume, which is super cool. I really enjoyed reading through those 6 in a row in that way because they were spread out over years. And so, you can try to make sense of it, but it is a little bit haphazard, isn't it? Anybody else have an opinion on this? Rick, Emily?
I was kind of confused at first because it doesn't really tell you what is canon or legends when you look at the contents. So I didn't really know until I reached that one story. So I kept going and I just didn't understand if they were going to be intermingled or if they were going to be in 2 separate categories. And they are in 2 separate categories. All the legend stories are up front and the canon are at the very back.
Right.
So maybe I just missed it at the beginning. But I was kind of it's sort of like every time I turn a page, I was like, is this going to be legends or canon? It was interesting.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry that you didn't, skip ahead to the end to see that.
I
All
tried,
the
but
canon
there was
stories
so
were at
much
the
beautiful art. I would get distracted every time I tried.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
So
there it is.
Oh.
That is
Yeah.
one of
there's
its
a lot of gorgeous
selling
stuff to
points.
look at.
Rick, your take on this?
Yeah, so I'll say that for someone who's read a good number of these Legends stories, like books, but not all of them, I was surprised at how well I was still able to pick up a story for characters that I just did not know. So there's a few times that they're the characters that, talking with you guys, I know that have overlap from other stories, but still they did stand on their own. But like you guys said, it was really good at getting there because, some they just start off and you don't really know what's going on until you get to the end, or, a lot of twists and turns and stuff. Some really good ones and some that are kind of just like weird, ethically, morally gray, all kinds of stuff. So it was definitely an experience. But I was surprised at how well I could just pick it up and enjoy the stories from it. That was good.
I
That's
think
a real
it'll
selling
be
point.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see volume 2. I think that's going to give us more of a tone for the series. So to see what are they going to repeat in volume 2?
I can see that.
I imagine they would have to have more canon stories because otherwise why would they have delayed the release yet again? I don't understand why, but
there's one thing.
yes.
One thing. I am not mad at it at all.
Okay.
I'm so glad that the art is there. It's so beautiful.
Are they doing new art for it?
The art is fantastic. The
Yes.
smell, so sweet. The sweet
That's my point,
papyrus.
Freddie. Don't you take that away from me.
I won't
I'm
take it. I
very
won't take
worried
it.
about all the
This is-
smelly Legends books now.
Yeah,
like
interesting.
all
Did you hear my
I've
joke
ever
last
known.
week?
We're not done talking about this. We're going to touch on this later.
Did you hear that I called this the New York Times #1 best smeller?
My brain just short-circuited hearing that. And now
welcome.
I can't unhear that. I can't not know that now.
And happy early birthday.
Thank you. Beautiful.
All right. So were you done, Freddie? Why else do you have no complaints with this book?
It just gives us more content to read, right? And
Yeah.
in the Legends realm, any news is good news.
That is one of the things that I have to say about this is, so many Legends fans have never really touched the short stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to say, it's easy, to read like all 100 and 70, 90 something adult Legends novels. I don't know the exact number. We should probably do a count on that one of these days. It's easy to, go back and just reread, like I'm about to do with Bane for the 10th time. You just pick your favorites and go back to them. What's cool about this is it finally collects some of these stories that nobody's ever touched. So these are not new stories, but repackaging them in print is a really cool way to help people rediscover some Legend stories that many people have never touched, right? Now, I've got here that Volume 2 is out for release. Now, my Amazon has delayed it to November the 2nd, which honestly is fine because I'm very much backed up. I'm going to be reading Ronin soon. Very excited about that. I'm still listening to Rogue Squadron. I've been reading the Hutt Gambit for a couple of months. I've got plenty of stuff to read. November is fine with me. Nothing's on the docket at that point. But I'm hoping it does come out this year at the very least. Now, Freddie, I'd like to hear some more about the background on Star Wars Insider magazine itself.
Yeah, so some of the background. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember the Lucasfilm Fan Club magazine back in, I think it was around 1994. Well, this was the Lucasfilm Fan Club magazine, and I remember subscribing to that back in the day, and I
did
just
you
wondered,
really?
what the heck? Yeah, what happened to it? I was like, what happened to this thing? Only for it to be turned into Star Wars Insider in
That's some OG
1994.
cred, Freddie.
Yeah, so I think that happened around issue 22 and 23, so just some really cool info there. And the short stories start coming around, I want to say, issue 62. So if you're looking for retro old stories to collect, issue 62 is the one to go to.
And so it seems like logically they would have, started with whatever short story was in issue 62, but it doesn't do that.
But no.
Which is interesting.
But no.
So hang on. Maybe we'll get it. Keep going, Freddie.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, right? They're probably going to make it the last issue. That way we have to collect every single one of them to get there. But
That would be so
there's-
wicked.
Yeah, there's a total of 44 Legend stories, short stories, and 22 canon. The good thing about at this point, right? There's 44 Legends. That's a finite number, but canon, it's who knows how long they're going to go. It's infinite at this point. But 22 currently. There are no Star Wars Insider issues starting from 1 to 22. So if you're looking for anything Star Wars Insider between those issue numbers, you should probably stop the search now.
Because it was called something else, right? What'd you call it? Lucasfilm?
It's the Lucasfilm Fan Club magazine. So those are what you should be collecting, and those are the old magazines, and I still have maybe the first 10 issues.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So around 2007, Titan took over for publishing, and they've got other collected editions. I don't know if you want to go through that.
Yeah,
there's quite a
I
few.
actually have some of these, so I want to show them off. Oh, man. Yeah, for years I was just asking for these as birthday presents. They were like kind of a fun Star Wars book that I wasn't actively collecting, but when they would come in, they were really fun to read. So I've got Volume 1 here, starring his blow-dried hair with Mark
the
Hamill. It's just
wavy
so
hair,
fluffy.
it's so good.
These are
Nicely
just
conditioned.
excellent. They're excellent to read. These are paperback, though. They're not hardcover, but they do look great on the shelf, especially as you start to stack them up. I've got, looks like I dropped Volume 2 somewhere. I've got Volumes 1, 3, and 4 here. 1, 3, and 4, Rey's on one, Vader's on one. But after Volume 4, they then switched to thematic collections. So you had Volumes 1 through 4, and then they went to the best of the original trilogy, The Saga Begins, Heroes of the Force, The Lords of the Sith, Rogues, Scoundrels, and Bounty Hunters, Aliens, Creatures, and Droids, and Icons of the Galaxy. So it's like they've really covered their bases here. They've really covered their bases, which makes me hope, and this is where I'd like to go by the end of the episode, that they'll do a High Republic one of these days, right? Just the High Republic
That'd be
short
cool.
stories and some behind the scenes on how it's all been done. It'd be really cool to get one of these published. by Titan. Because what's cool about that is you've got all these other Star Wars publishers in on the High Republic. It'd be cool to get one of these big collected editions from Titan as well. Now, we've got a great chat, a great question here in the chat from our buddy Aaron Motes, who says, do you know if the Star Wars Insider stories will eventually be released in paperback? And the answer to that is, no, we don't know.
But we'll let you know if we do find out.
Yeah, that's a great question. It'll definitely be in a segment we like to call Legends Lookout, which is about 10 minutes into every episode. Yeah, that's where we would talk about it there.
We'll get our agent who's going to talk to Drake, who's going to talk to Target, who's also going to talk to
This meeting just gets
Lucasfilm.
longer and longer. I tell you what.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it would be cool. It would be cool. I do like that this is in hardback, though. I mean, I've dragged this sucker around with me everywhere for like the past month. So I've tried to knock these short stories out, and it's been resilient. It has held up surprisingly well. I've got 2 kids. I was eating raspberries in the car while I was waiting on my daughter's pickup line. Those things were just dripping bread all over my hand, and had this in my other. It didn't manage to get a single stain on it. It wiped off clean. Anyway,
That
that's more
was
information than
visceral.
you needed.
That was.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, wow,
That was a
that
lot.
description, that took me there.
The key is you have to paint a word picture.
Yeah.
That's right. And my word picture just so happened to look like somebody was murdered in my car while I was
Oh.
Just a little bit.
reading my Star Wars book. Yeah. Now, we're going to talk about what these stories are specifically that are contained in this volume. We're going to go down the list. Each and every one of us is going to cover a story or two. We're going to talk about just like the basic stats on it. We're not going to do discussion on whether or not it was good or anything like that. We're just going to tell you the deets. First and foremost, at the top of the list is Vader Adrift. This is a story written by Ryder Wyndham. The artist is Joe Caroni. And Rick, as you've got images of these, go ahead and just throw these up as we talk. So we've got Ryder Wyndham having written Vader Adrift. It was published in the Star Wars Insider Special Edition in 2012, so not one of the numeric issues. They do yearly special editions, so that's kind of an interesting, weird factor in all of this if you're factoring in the numbering system. Yeah, first debuted there in that 2012 edition. In this story, Darth Vader survived the destruction of the experimental battle station known as the Tarkin from the old school Marvel comics over the planet Hockaleg. That doesn't sound right, but that's what I wrote. Now, adrift in his TIE fighter, Vader is rescued by a veteran of the Clone Wars, a clone trooper who once served under the command of Anakin Skywalker.
Wait, that's
And so
Darth Vader!
They have like a moment.
They're
and
the
it's
same.
It's
I feel like
really
we should have
precious.
said
All right.
spoilers at the beginning.
My
of
goodness.
It's like 3 pages long. How many spoilers do you need?
That. Well, I mean,
Yeah, no, you're
that's
probably
a pretty
right.
big
Oh.
twist at the end.
It's the first story, though, so we didn't spoil any of the other ones
That's true.
yet. Rick, take us away with the next one.
All right. So, yeah, this next one, First Blood, author Christy Golden, and artist for this one was Brian Rude. Was it Rude? Rude? Man, I just got all kinds of tongue-tied there. This one was originally published in Star Wars Insider number 125, all the way back about 10 years ago, 2011. And this story was interesting. It has a tie-in to the Fate of the Jedi series. And so this story features Sith apprentice Vestara Kai, as well as 5 much more notorious Sith. And they go in search of a vessel to finally leave the planet on which her people have been stranded for centuries. And there is some blood involved. There is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this is fun because Fate of the Jedi tied in with the short stories, other short stories that are not in this book, that are called Lost Tribe of the Sith. And so this is a character from the Lost Tribe of the Sith, but she's not in the Lost Tribe of the Sith books, but she is in the short story that's in this. It's one of those like really fun Legends things that's really weird and crazy. And so I was really excited to read this because I've read all of the Fate of the Jedi, all the Lost Tribe of the Sith, but had never read this. And I was really, really hyped. All right, next up on the list is Emily. I said we weren't going to discuss these, and I can't help myself. Emily, Buyer's Market.
Yeah, so next up we've got Buyer's Market. It was authored by Timothy Zahn and artist Brian Rude. It was originally published in Star Wars Insider 126, again in 2011. So in this one, Lando does some classic wheeling and dealing and good old-fashioned swindling from the cantina to the battlefield in order to secure an AT-AT for his mining project on Niklon.
It's almost like whoever wrote these little summaries did a really great job.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
wordsmith.
Oh, it's
Almost.
wonderful.
I wrote this next one, so let's get to see how it goes. Ready? So I've got and Lebo makes 3.
Oh.
author, we've got, so it's interesting. We've got 2 or 4 people total working on this. We've got author Michael Reeves and Maya Catherine Bonoff, and artists Greg and Tim Hildebrandt. And boy,
Legends.
is their art just absolutely legendary. You're seeing the theme here.
my-
So all of these were published in 2011.
Giant man.
Oh yeah.
Too big. He's so large.
Hey, man.
You could just he almost looks like Stallone in that picture.
Oh my
Like I could
God,
just
yeah.
hear him.
I was thinking Schwarzenegger, but fine.
Yep, that works
Stallone Senegar.
That's even better. So this was published in like I said, 2011 in issue 128. And here's the summary. Yeah, the summary goes: the best scoundrel to ever don shoulder pads. That was Jared's input. Dash Renda and his partner, an emotionally unavailable Terrace Kasi master, strike up a deal with a sketchy Rhodian comedian for a Swiss army droid by the name of Lebo, who will capture our hearts in content to come.
You changed the summary. You did. You rewrote the line. So good, Freddie. Oh my gosh. I've got so much to say about these. Let's keep going. You're up next, Eric.
All right. Next up, we have a fair trade, which proves our first absolute downright lie in this book. Because this is written by Paul S. Kemp, not Christy Golden, as is said in the book. And actually,
this is a misprint.
it makes a lot of sense if you've ever read content by either of those authors, which we'll talk about later. The artist is Joe Caroni, originally published in Star Wars Insider 129 in 2011. And the summary says, a fair trade is a tie-in to Paul Kemp's Cross-Current and Riptide books as smugglers Kedron and Mar are ambushed by pirates. And it sounds nothing like a Christy Golden story.
No. I got to the end of this one and was like, what the heck was this about?
I needed this episode when I was reading these because I was like, I've read Christy Golden. I don't think so. All right, great.
So good.
Jared, you
Oh my
got the next / maybe the
I
freaking
do.
best one.
You've got the best
My
one,
God,
Jared.
Jared.
Let's go. Let's keep going.
There's no doubt.
You have red light. Oh my God, you have red light for this one. This is perfect.
One of the only 2 or 3 that I had read before, and oh my gosh, is it just wonderful. However, the art will kind of haunt your nightmares if you're not careful. My wife saw me reading this and was like, what the heck is that? This is The Tenebrous Way. This is by the infamous Matthew Stover, one of the greatest authors ever to lend their talents to the galaxy far, far away. The artist on this is Brian Rood. It was originally published in Star Wars Insider 130 in 2011. In this story, this is, of course, an existential companion piece to James Luceno's Legends masterpiece, Darth Plagueis. It tells of Darth Tenebris's grand plan to secure eternal life and conquer the galaxy, and it also tells of his fateful demise at the hands of his apprentice, Plagueis himself. And Emily, don't you tell me that I spoiled this one, because it's literally in the first sentence that the first sentence is dying. Tenebris, observed with mild surprise, was turning out to be not only pleasant, but wholly wonderful. I mean,
No,
just what
that's
an
not the twist. You
incredible
didn't
opening
spoil
line.
that
Incredible.
one. You have to read to the end.
There is a
I liked
twist.
the ending for that.
Oh
A
God,
lot.
such a
Ending is
twist. Sticks with me.
All right, I'm
Rick, you're
back.
up
My
next.
camera works. Woo! Yeah. So
Hey!
this next
Way to go,
one,
Rick.
yeah, the next
Hurry!
one is Maze Run. Author David J. Williams and Mark S. Williams. I wonder if they're related. The artist was Brian Rood again. I'm going to say his name wrong probably all night, but that's okay. Originally, it was published in Star Wars Insider issue 131 in 2012. And this is just a classic Han and Chewie adventure story as they have to pilot the Falcon through the perilous Rishi maze. And it was awesome. I enjoyed this one quite a bit.
Now, here's my big question. A, does this tie into any other Legends books? Because I couldn't think of one. And then B, where is the Rishi Maze reference? It's a line in one of the actual films, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. Some of the Rishi
Where?
Maze.
Right.
You know, it's the
Silence.
Rishi
Never-
maze.
I don't
We
know,
have no
man.
idea. It's
I've never seen a Star Wars movie. It finally comes out.
somewhere. Somebody in the chat is going to
Yeah, let
us
let us
know.
know.
Yeah,
It's probably
drop it in
going
the
to be
chat.
Jacob. I can feel it. Absolutely. Emily, you're up next while we think.
Yes, the next story is The Guns of Kelrodo Eye. It's authored by Jason Fry with art by John Van Fleet. And this was also originally published in Star Wars Insider, episode 132, or edition 132 in 2012. So this one, Jason Fry's story is a companion to The Essential Guide to Warfare, featuring a squad of TIE pilots shortly after the Republic became the Empire. They have to sort through a rising tide of xenophobia in the new Empire and complete their dangerous mission in order to impress Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, not even a grand yet. Just regular old Moff Tarkin. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I was having trouble finding good art of it online. The art in the actual book is better than you can actually find on the internet itself. And I didn't feel like scanning it. That felt like a crime. So we've got some of the art.
Not internet images, only money. Must buy the book.
And now, Freddie, you've got my favorite one here. Go for it.
Wow.
This one's super interesting. I didn't think I was going to like it at first, but I also don't know how to quite pronounce his name.
Do your best.
So
Shoot your best shot, Freddie.
You know, this is the hunting of the Gorak. That's how I'm going to say
That was
it.
great.
That was beautiful. I like
It,
that.
it should be
I
that.
said
If it's
Gorak.
not, it should be.
Yes.
That's right.
You
For
just
me, it was the
changed
Gorak.
So this is by author Jeff Grubb and artist Joe Caroni. Originally published in issue 133 in 2012, guys. So we're seeing a little bit of a trend. We're going by years here.
Yep.
And you're right, Jared. After looking at it, I think there is somewhat of a trend, but I still don't understand it. And as you see here, this is the hut of the character of the story. So it's hunting the Gorak, ties into the novel Scourge, and is a story of Perella, not Paella. Perella the Hutt.
I said paella the whole time.
Me too.
Paella the Hutt's also a great story. I would read that.
Yeah, just the chef of a hut.
Cousins of Pizza the Hut.
Oh, I like that a lot.
So it's Perella the Hutt, bounty hunter, on a quest to take down the infamous Gorak beast. So, really cool story, honestly. I didn't know where it was going, but it turned out to be awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's my favorite of the bunch. I'm not 100% sure. Definitely my biggest surprise this time around. Eric.
All right. Before I get into the next one, a quick shout out to Jacob in our chat who said, and I quote, Camino was about 12 parsecs outside the Rishi Maze, which is Dexter Jetster in Attack of the Clones. So thank you, Jacob.
Good job, Eric.
Thank
Now,
you very much.
You've got to read the Last of the Jedi books one of these days, Eric, because Dexter Jetster is a part of an underground rebel movement on Coruscant after the Empire becomes the Empire. Dexter Jetster is like running a secret rebel base, which is super dope.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And even if I
Go for
don't
it.
read them, Jared, you know me. I need to put the hardcovers on my bookshelf. All right.
There are no hardcovers.
Dang it! All right, I don't care. I don't care. They're not real. All right, next one is Getaway, which, surprise, surprise, is actually by Christy Golden.
It is.
Artist Joe Caroni, again, a wide variety of art. I love this art so much. It's absolutely gorgeous. Reminds me of Jamie McKelvey, if any comics fans are out there. Originally published in Star Wars Insider 134 in 2012. And in this story, Jaina Solo and Jagged Fell go on their honeymoon to find an ancient Jedi temple on the planet Sakub, where they are ambushed by opportunist raiders, hoping that Jaina will lead them to the temple's rare artifacts. We love a Jaina
sums it
Solo
up.
story. We love a Jaina Solo.
Absolutely. That's right. It can be your first exposure to Jaina Solo if you've never really gotten to that part of Legends, which is fun.
But if it is,
Totally
I'll tell you what, it makes not a lot of sense. But we'll get to that later.
It spoils one of the biggest romances in all of post Return of the Jedi Legends.
Sure does.
Because they're literally on their honeymoon. Yeah. My story that I've got next is called Roll of the Dice by Karen Miller, as we called her last week. One of the great Karens of Legends. The artist is David Rabit. It was originally published in Star Wars Insider 135, the sequel to 134, written in 2012. This is the prequel story to X-Wing Mercy Kill, which was the swan song, one last round of the X-Wing series. It is an undercover spy mission for the daughter of Wedge Antilles, Miri Antilles, in search of information on a crime lord at an intergalactic casino.
And might I say,
Yes.
if you don't know that Miri is the daughter of Wedge and you see Antilles and you think that she might be his wife or something, it's real weird for a second. But then you realize that she's
Could be like related to Bail Antilles of Alderaan,
fake.
which is not the other Bail from Alderaan. It's Star Wars. Am I right?
So weird.
Rick, you're up next.
All right. Next, we have Reputation. This was written by, is it Ari Marmel, and art by Tom Hodges. This one was published back in Star Wars Insider 136, also in 2012. And this is about a bounty hunter pretending to be a Jedi and trying to take out, or actually he does, this Bothan crime lord for the Black Sun. But as he's doing his job, he is ambushed by none other than Cad Bane, who steals his bounty and learns some of his Jedi impersonating tricks. So that was a really good one, and I loved this art. We'll talk about that in a second, but I love the typography of this
It's
opening
really cool.
page.
Yeah. Like, seriously, despite being one of my least favorite Taylor Swift albums, Reputation was one of my favorite stories.
That
Oh,
was
you
my
got me with
first
that
thought
one.
when I saw the title. I was like, the song went in my head. I was like, okay, I see you.
Taylor's in
Kevin.
her Cad Bane phase. You know, we all had to go through it.
Did you guys read that story in what's the voice? The name of the voice actor? I should know this.
Oh, for Cad Bane?
One of
Oh.
the most famous, Corey Burton.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys?
dead, Sarah.
Like, yeah, of course I did. You can't not.
I read every word of it.
It's
in
so
that
good.
voice. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness! But apparently, you were hearing it in Taylor Swift's voice. Which
But
is
also,
fun.
Cad Bane,
Well,
for
at the
this
beginning.
episode, the Great Bridge, this is a legend story, but he is a canon character. So that's a nice bridge for me. That helped me a lot.
Be careful,
Yeah.
Eric. If you think about it too hard, it'll break your brain.
Oh, it already has. I am already dead.
And the last legend story is up for you, Emily.
Yes, it's titled Eruption. Author John Ostrander, artist Jan Duursema. It was originally published in Star Wars Insider 141 in 2013. So this prequel to Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void is arguably the earliest story set in the Legends universe. Of course, Trevor will correct us if we're wrong. Is it Jedi? Is that how you say that?
The Jedi.
You just gotta commit to it. Like
Jedi.
you're
Feel it.
a
Feel it.
Viking. Yeah.
Jedi Rangers
Jedi.
Lannery Brock and Hawk Ryo settle an ugly dispute between mining families on Zarist.
Definitely. And
Awesome.
there's actually an audiobook adaptation of this as well. It was at the very end of
Oh.
Jedi Into the Void. So I listened to this story a couple times, which was really fun. The only one I could find. I spent about 3 hours trying to find if any of the other of these were on audio.
About as
The
long as it
answer
took
is-
you to make that meme? Yeah.
I
That's
don't
right.
think so. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You're
3
great
hours
at
is
the
my
internet.
threshold to sink into something dumb, in which I quit if I can't figure it out.
And yet you're still here at UTini all these years later.
Not for lack of Corey's trying. All right. You're up, Freddie, with our first canon story. This is going to
Yeah,
take all night. What an episode.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is probably my, well, I shouldn't say that. I've read one or two canon books, so this is probably like my third canon read. It's called
First in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It's 1,000 Levels Down. Very interesting. Author by, the author is Alexander Freed. Artist is Joe Caroni and Brian Miller. Two great artists. So we're jumping ahead in time. We're in 2014 now with a publishing date, and it came out in Star Wars Insider issue 151. And the summary of this story goes: there's a couple of Alderaanian survivors, and they're wanted by the Empire. And they go out of the frying pan into the fire as they descend deeper and deeper into the underlevels of Coruscant in search of a safe haven. It's
right.
It's a very sad story, but it ends with some hope, right? And that's exactly why I thought it was pretty fantastic. And does
I liked that
my
one.
question here, we'll talk later, is how does this tie into canon? We'll get there.
It's well written. It's almost like this Alexander Freed guy could have a career as an author.
A little bit. He's written
And
some
what's fun
books,
about
Freddie.
this-
You may not know that as you've read through canon, but he's still going.
He's written some legend stuff. He wrote the Old Republic comics.
Yes, he did.
Not these Old Republic comics, this huge thing over here, but in the Old Republic video game comics. All right, so he's crossed the streams with canon and legends. Eric, you're up for our next story by the author of that great 1,344-page tome.
It's
I
a
just showed
great
off.
transition because this is the story Orientation that has the cover art of the actual volume itself, written by friend of the show John Jackson Miller, Artist by Brian Rood or Rood. It was originally published in Star Wars Insider 157 in 2015. We're getting later. And as we said, the glorious friend of both the Living Force and Legends Look Back, John Jackson Miller, wrote a bridge story connecting A New Dawn with Lords of the Sith as Rey Sloane, a canon favorite, uncovers a conspiracy against the Empire by her commanding officer who isn't thrilled with the Republic becoming an empire overnight. Yeah, we're going to get into this one. This is absolutely, undoubtedly one of my favorites in the whole book. I thought it was great.
Might be the only story in here that I've read like 3 times. Because I read when it first came out in
Sure.
157 itself. I actually own most of the 150s in print. I also read it when it came out in I think it was in that big collected edition, the massive paperback thing they only did one of that's got like Tarkin and
Oh, yeah,
New
The Rise of the
Dawn.
Empire. I have that
It
somewhere.
might be in there. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure. Anyway, it's a good story. Absolutely. Rick, close us out with Blade Squadron.
Blade Squadron is the last few stories in the book. There's parts 1, part 2. There's 0 Hour, Kuwat and Jakku. And this whole series was written by, again, David J. Williams and Mark S. Williams. And artist was Chris Travis. So these were published Star Wars Insider issues 149, 150, 160, 168, and 172, which ran during 2014 through 2017. So for the first time, and all in one volume, we have the 5-part Blade Squadron story, which follows a B-Wing squadron from Endor to Jakku.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Man, amazing to have these all collected together like that.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of drives me nuts that it's across like a 3-year time span. But, you know,
Here
I
we
liked
are.
having them all together. That's right. So, guys, let's go around the table and just review this book on a 1 to 10 scale. Obviously, you know, this is different. This is weird. Do your best. Give it a number. Emily, you're up first.
I don't love anthologies, so I'm gonna give it like a 7. Is that harsh?
7's respectable.
Yeah,
No.
it's not bad.
Okay.
No. Eric.
I'm going to go a 7.2. Similarly, there are... I'm all
Okay.
decimally. Yeah, there are some stories I really liked, but on the whole, agreed the anthology format wasn't super helpful for me. And there were a lot of stories where I read a few paragraphs and I'm like, oh, I get what that one's about. And then I went to the next one. So, 7.2.
Oh, that hurts me, Eric.
I
That
know.
hurts me
Oh, we'll get into it.
deep in
We'll
my
get into it.
gut.
I know, buddy.
Ouch. Oh, see, how can you live with yourself if you don't read every single word in a book?
Because I read every canon book, Jared.
So do I.
That's true. And you have
All
children.
right.
I have no excuse.
Freddie, you're up.
Well, I'm gonna give this. About. It's really really hard for me to just give a number because I'm looking at the art. I love the art. It's all fantastic.
Don't do that thing like you did on the Living
Freddie,
Force.
Freddie,
and give-
that's next. That's next on the outline. Don't talk about
give a
the art
fake.
yet.
Give a
All
fake
All I have
answer.
to say is the art is fantastic. The stories, you know, they're short stories, and if you're looking for a quick fix while you're in the bathroom, you know, you're stuck there for some reason, give this a buy and take a look. Just leave it there. You don't have to read it all
That's
the
a
time.
good place to leave the book. That's a good
This
place.
is like saying that your kid sucks at baseball, but you want to say they're having a lot of fun out there. Like, what in the world
Easy
is
to
that?
clean. It's easy to clean. So
That's
And it
true.
smells amazing.
And it
is
smells
really good.
amazing,
Yeah.
How often do you clean your books, Freddie?
well, if you had the murder that happened in Jared's car,
That's fair. That's fair.
We've already got a good
It does.
example.
It does wipe easily. All right. What was your number?
I'm gonna give it an 8. 8.8. Just 8.2. Let's go with 8.2.
Okay, good. I was going to come in somewhere in between.
My goodness.
I'll give it a 7.5. Some of the stories are straight 10s.
Yes, agreed.
It's some are not. But the art is good. All right. You're up, Rick. Wait, did I give
I
it
was
a
kinda
number?
worried you're gonna forget
Or
about
did I
me
give
for
it
a
number?
You said
I think I
8.2.
did. No, I didn't.
You said 7.5?
Sorry, 7.5.
Yeah,
Freddie said
just
8.2.
making sure I got around
I'm
to it.
sorry.
Episode's going long. I'm
You're all
losing
the
my
same
mind.
to me,
You're
I
up-
don't know.
You're up, Rick.
Okay, so yeah, I had a hard time with this one, but like you guys said, there's kind of a wash. So I'll give it a 7.99.
Oh, nice.
Look at you coming right in between. We're going to go around and tell everybody your favorite art in the book. What was your favorite art? You already spoiled your favorite typography. Is that your favorite art, Rick?
Yeah, I think it is my favorite art as well, just because I have such a high value of typography, man. It's important, and all the other titles in this book were all pretty just straight up text on a photo or whatever. But this one actually tried, and so I give it high scores. Now the whole story, I didn't love all of the art and the whole story, but I think that one image just did it for me. So I'm pretty happy about
It's
that.
really striking. I did spend quite a few seconds, maybe like 10 or 12 seconds, just looking at it.
And for our
before I read
audio
the story.
folks, that's the Reputation Cad Bane story.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Of course.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, like our 2 audio listeners.
Got your back.
Really driving down the road, thrilled with you at this moment.
Love you.
Or washing their dishes, who knows? They could be doing anything.
Washing dishes is ideal podcast time.
Agreed.
Preach.
Chores,
Eric, while
all
you're
that.
talking,
Folding
Yes.
laundry,
what's
too.
your favorite art?
All right. I'm going to go with the Legends one because of the vibe of the show. I'm going to go just with the first image on Getaway, on the Christy Golden story with Jaina Solo. I think that this page is just gorgeous. I love the character renderings. The color is great. And like similar to Rick, I don't love all of the art within that. I think that some of the rest of the character poses with Jaina are a little static. But I think this initial image is just a really great shot of Jaina and Jagged just in action poses with the lightsabers going and blasters and an artifact. It really captures the eye. So the Getaway art I really loved.
Excellent. Who has not gone yet? Emily.
Yes, I like the Guns of Kelrodo-ai. I don't know if Rick.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
I love this one. Like, if I could have this in a very large print, I would put it anywhere in my house. It's just gorgeous. I love the color. It's kind of like antiqued a little bit, like faded. I'm not really sure what I
Yeah,
love
it
about
does.
it. It's just
Yeah.
the
It's
impression that it
vintagey.
gives.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I'm feeling it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Freddie, you're the art guy on the show. This is like your reputation. You're an art collector. You
I
are
am.
the Thrawn. All you need are some red eyes, and you'd be all the way there, man. What's
I
your
am.
favorite?
So as I've done throughout the history of Utini, I'm going to break the easiest rules to follow.
Oh, no.
It's maddening.
So here we go. Here's my favorite Legends piece, and it's Dash Renda right on the front with Lebo, and he's got the most 90s pose ever with his
It's
gun
so
in hand. Yeah, you see that? It's beautiful. It just speaks Legends. I would love to have this on a shirt, on my underwear. Just put it anywhere.
On your
I love it.
underwear.
Dash
Ooh.
Render underpants. We've
All
got to
right.
sell those in the shop, man. We've got to sell those. Somebody text those. Hey.
Let's
Oh my
tell
gosh, that's
Target.
insane.
They're doing a great job with like
There it
everything else.
is. You can just call it the Dash Ren Derriere. Like, it works perfect.
I love it. And so that's my number one piece, and I have like 5 others, so I'll go through them really quickly.
What in the world? I had 2 and I stopped.
Freddie's the art guy. He's been on the show for 2 years. He can do what he wants.
Madness.
So
You can do whatever
if
you want.
you haven't seen a lot of my art yet, and one of these days I'm going to try to get them on the back wall here, I like collecting vehicles and landscapes. So when it comes to art, that's what I focus on. So this Blade Squadron, and I don't really know too much about this squadron, but the art from this is so photorealistic, and it's just the B-Wings, which are my favorite as well, on top of that. Everything about this art, and I'll see if I can... Look at this one. Look at that. Look how beautiful that
It
is.
is good. What's cool is
I
you've
love the
got
colors in that.
Yeah, it's really striking.
you've got really really interesting looking characters in that too. A redheaded woman who's Gina Moonsong, the pilot, and I couldn't figure out if this was her like boyfriend. Like Strom was his name, but he's got a sick mustache. So points for the mustache. Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, she looks awesome.
Oh, her redheaded
Just
fury.
great art,
I'm really
honestly.
big on
Like
the-
every single one of those pages.
Whenever you see the wrinkling of clothes in either art or video games, I always really appreciate it because that's a detail that artists don't have to do, and it probably takes a long time. And I just really respect it.
So the interesting thing, guys, real fast, is the art from the Legend stuff is mostly, it looks like it's hand painted, right? Most of it, especially the Dash Rendar Hildebrand stuff, and the Blade Squadron is digitally done because you can tell like the smudge marks that they use for some of the pens, and it just gives it such a different look that you couldn't get with a hand drawing.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
you look
The
closely.
more you know.
Now the Hildebrandt art in particular was some of my favorites as well, Freddie, from the Dash Rendar story and Lebo Makes Three. The Hildebrandt brothers in particular, they're legends in the world of Star Wars art. They famously did the poster, the original Star Wars poster. You know, the one where Luke's muscles have muscles.
Oh my God,
and he's
the
holding
pecs.
the
Yes.
lightsaber, and then Leia's leg is coming out of the dress.
Yep.
Oh, scandalous like. That's the Hildebrandt, and so there's actually an entire book. Freddie, we should do this on the show one of these days. There's an entire book collecting all of the Hildebrandt brothers' art for Star Wars.
Wow.
And so that includes all 150 Shadows of the Empire trading cards that they made.
That's awesome.
150, and that's actually what this art is. The art in these stories, I believe, was published posthumously for at least one of the brothers, the Hildebrandt brothers. I could be wrong on that, but it was not drawn for this story. They were originally on the Shadows of the Empire trading cards that came out in '96 and was repurposed for this story. This is
I've
the
got
kind
those.
of very obscure Legends tidbits you can only get on Legends Look Back. Am I right?
Yeah.
And my
Your
pick
turn,
is,
Jared.
My pick is going to be this Jan Duursema art. This is on pages 96 and 97 of Dawn of the Jedi Eruption. It's got Hawk Ryo jumping into battle to ambush these guards. Just between the three of them, there's a whole bunch of Leku, or as Rogue Squadron likes to call them. I'm currently listening to Rogue Squadron by Mike Stackpole, as he likes to call Leku, brain tails. Yeah, 6 brain tails between the three of these Twi'leks here. I love the way she can texture the motion of the brain tails, kind of flopping through the wind as he jumps onto the rooftop, is gorgeous. Absolutely. Now, we've talked about a favorite art. How about the stories themselves? Let's kick it back over to you, Rick. What was your favorite story of the bunch?
Oh, man. So I also don't like listing and having favorites. So I made a short list of my 4 favorites, and I'll see if I can find one right here, right now. My top 4, Fair Trade, actually, I liked it. Then Maze Run, The Hunt of the Gorach, and Reputation. I liked all 4 of those. But honestly, I think Fair Trade was the first one that once I read it, I was like, okay, I can dig this. Like the first 2 or 3, I wasn't loving, and so by Fair Trade, I was like, this is a good story. Had some twists and turns, some things I wasn't expecting. I thought it was pretty clever, so I'm happy with that one.
Good. Well done. What's interesting is going to be to hear that we've got some different picks. So, Eric, how about you?
All right. I'm going to take the chalky Christian McCaffrey #1 overall pick and say the Tenebrous Way. 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10. Loved that one. I do it, though. I'm going to play the game. I'll do some honorable mentions, though. Vader Adrift, I really enjoyed. That actually got me pretty decently. As a fan of the Clone Wars,
It's a good start.
I thought that was a perfect start for the book, yes. So I love that one a lot. And then I also want to give honorable mentions to Reputation, the aforementioned Taylor Swift, gorgeous visual art, and then Orientation. But yeah, Tenebrous Way, that's the one that stuck with me. I took like some months, honestly, between reading this because of our timing, and I remembered word for word what happened, and that one months later. That one's not leaving my brain anytime soon.
It is, the prose in that is just delicious.
It's great.
Oh, man. He
Yeah.
sunk his teeth into that. He had some fun writing it. So
It's
way to
Revenge
go,
of the Sith,
Stover.
Matthew Stover, as opposed to like
That's right.
Shatterpoint is like good, but it's not like quite the Matthew Stover of Legend. And then you read
It's a totally
Tenebrous,
different
and you're
vibe,
like,
yeah.
ooh, right, I want
So
this
good.
book. Yeah,
I recommend anybody who's reading Darth Plagueis right now to take a read of that story
10,000%.
You need to insert that into your brain.
Yup.
While you're reading this, because it's going to make so much more. I wouldn't say it makes more sense, but you'll have a different point of view now that you know the pre-story of how everything happened and the thoughts that Tenebrous was having. Like literally, the milliseconds of his death, it seems like, lasted an eternity, which is nuts.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Absolutely. Emily, what's your pick?
Well, like Eric, the Tenebrous Way. But it was like light years ahead of all of the other ones, in my opinion. Like, there was no contest. It was only the Tenebrous Way. I mean, I liked some of the other ones, but that one was so far ahead, in my opinion. I love dark, like, Sith lore and, like, Force lore. That's really one of the things I really like in Star Wars, and that was about the only story that really dove deep into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely did.
There was a little bit of that in the Jaina story. Which was the title for that one again?
Getaway, but
Getaway,
not
that's right.
much.
There's
Yeah.
a little bit,
There-
like there's a holocron, which was super exciting for me. But really, the Tenebrous Way it wins.
Okay, my pick is not off the board yet. I think I already spoiled it. Freddie, how about you?
I'm gonna stick with and Lebo makes 3. The
Oh,
humor.
dang it!
My gosh.
That was my pick, Freddie. In case you can't tell.
Okay, well, you could go with Hunting the Gorak if you want. I think that one's a great story.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, this story is hilarious. It's funny. It's action packed. It is exactly what you would expect from a Dash Rendar story. And it's just so funny in the places that it needs to be funny. It reminds me of I guess you could say old Star Wars, right? Where it's got that kind of shtick humor. I'm not sure how to describe it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read a little passage here. Dash turned to the droid. What do you call yourself? None of your business. Stow it. Emergency nomenclature override. New name Lebo. Integrating data. New name Lebo. And it's like, all right, well, that's how we got his name.
I like that the droid says, none of your business.
Yeah.
None yet.
Freaking droids.
Hilarious.
Sassy droid.
Great story, honestly.
that is a good one.
I wish we could have more of Dash Rendar. I really like reading it. It just brings like that nostalgia, action-packed, swashbuckling fantasy stories back. So it was cool. It was a good read.
Well, that's what this book does well, is if you liked a story, chances are in, 17 out of 18 of these, there is a companion book, an actual full-length novel or a trilogy that it ties into. And that's the case with And Lebo Makes 3. It ties into a book I just read earlier, I think I read it last year. Yeah, very shortly after the pandemic started, because I was like, I guess I'm reading Legends. Nothing else I could do. The book is called Shadow Games.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a Dash Rendar, oh man, what is the point in that story? He has to protect the Britney Spears of Star
Yes.
Wars.
He's like a bodyguard.
From the Black Sun. And he's got his cocky, he's sassy droid there by his side. He and Han Solo have like a spitting contest. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. So that would be my recommendation there. And Rick, as the collector among us, do you know how much a hardcover of Shadow Games would run you?
I don't think I do. Do I have that one? That's my question.
We'll find out next week, because I'm pretty sure that it would be impossible to get one for under $200.
Yes, it's hefty.
Maybe $300. It is one of the rarest hardcover Legends books ever. What might be, after I give it a glowing review, is Hunting the Gorak. That's my favorite of the bunch. One of my favorites. It is so cool to have a Hutt bounty hunter. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. A Hutt bounty hunter. And that is just everything I never knew I needed. And I'm excited to pick up Scourge. I've read the first chapter of it, and one of the only Legends books I've ever DNF'd. And so I'm looking forward to getting back into that to see if Perella the Hutt shows back up in that book, because absolutely loved that. Now, how about this? We've talked about our favorite art. We've talked about our favorite story. What about a story where you were like, what the heck is happening here? Did you have I had no idea what in the galaxy was happening here story? Emily, you're laughing. Did this happen to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happened a few times, but the main one is there's an armored Hutt named Paella. There is an artist and an old civilization, and it like harkened to Thrawn, but Thrawn wasn't in it. The Hutt somehow outwits like some kind of warrior. It was Hunting the Gorak was like the most confusing thing to me. I was like, okay, pick a thing. Like, you got so many things going on right now. I'm getting too many pieces of information. Like, I guess Hutts are hunters now. I guess they can have armor. I didn't think they
Legends.
even needed
Anything
it.
Goes.
And then he's got like some guide that he throws down a hole, and there's like some artist creature. It was just, there was a lot going on in very few pages.
I could see that.
There were like 4
see
pages,
that.
and I got like new information constantly.
Yeah, that's good. How about you, Freddie?
You know, it's funny that you say this, because I feel like mine is different. When I was reading Buyer's Market, I had this like it was almost like it was an inside joke for myself. When I was like, I know exactly where that came from. and it's so slick, and it just happens so quickly. It would just fly right past you if you had no idea. But there's a part where they're looking for the at right, and the whole purpose of this at was for the was it the mining facility on, I can't remember the name of the planet. Niklon, that's right, Niklon.
Yes.
So he the guy that I guess he's like the commander of like the commandos. They're talking about Glitterstim and how he's like, I don't know if I want to ask you how I know all about that, because Lando's talking about it pretty professionally, and it's because of the Jedi, was it Jedi Apprentice stories when he was stuck on Kessel, or when he had the whole Kessel mining operation.
Jedi Academy, yeah.
Jedi Academy, that's right, Jedi Academy. So it kind of went right through without you even realizing, like, the whole reason he knew that was because of this intense story where he was, Han Solo, Chewie, everyone was stuck in this place while they were trying to escape from the Sun Crusher.
Yeah, it went past me because I read it and was like, what is this tying into? I could not figure it out. But with Timothy Zahn, I kind of expected for it to be one of the heavy-hitting stories in the book, and it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mr. Zahn, you're an absolute legend, but it didn't quite connect. But I'm glad you liked it.
Well, yeah, it was cool just seeing that little tidbit in there.
Eric, did you have a story where you were like, what in the world?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of Legends nonsense is this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Lebo makes 3. I'm glad y'all liked it. Nothing. Like, Hunting the Gorak, Getaway, Roll the Dice. Like, there is basically any of them that had to do with kind of like the characters that have evolved in Legends. It's awesome that they did that, and I think it's correct that they did so. But I'm also like, nah. I don't know who the relationships are. I don't know what's going on. Like, I loved the ones that were like the single characters doing a new kind of story. Yeah. But yeah, those 4 were pretty tough on the whole. And like even Blade Squadron, like I liked what they were trying to do with it. But there were so many new characters, and I'm like, dude, you're auditioning for like a feature book, and I don't want to read your audition piece because it's the opposite problem, where it's too much new. And I'm like, I really think that this anthology thrived when it hits that perfect medium. Like Tenebrous Way, I know Plagueis, but this is still a kind of new thing. And you don't need to know too much because it's all concise. But yeah, those kind of 4 or 5 were, the art was great. And I like what they were doing if you knew what it was about, but they were tough. They were a tough go.
I could see that. I could see, especially, Emily, your point of view with the Gorak, right? Like, not knowing what's going on with the characters, who these characters are, and why they should be important at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I could see where it doesn't make sense.
Prior knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting to see the way that Star Wars Insider evolved over the years. That there were so many of these stories that were like built on the foundational Legends characters, but now we're kind of moving into a space in these canon stories where you're dealing primarily with a brand new set of characters for this particular story. It might tie into a book, it might not. And so it's interesting to see the way this has all evolved over time.
Yeah.
For me, as somebody who's like, really prides themselves in being somebody who knows Legends with a capital K, there were still a couple where I was like, I don't get what this is tying into. I've got to pull up the book and figure it out. For me, the number one story was the A Fair Trade, because I didn't know the characters. I couldn't figure out
that was tough.
Where they were from. And it turns out they're from only one of the dozen Legends books I have yet to read. And so that's the problem, is I'm nearly a completionist, but I haven't read them all yet. And if you should have read this one, if you wanted to get in on the story, A Fair Trade tied into Cross Current and Riptide. So these stories that are set on opposite ends of the timeline have like a loose connection that brings them together. This is part of that story, and I didn't understand it. Rick, how about you?
I'm going to go back to Buyer's Market for a second. First of all, let's just say that this guy, I feel like he belonged in
the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, or 90s Matrix movies, like he's something special.
He's like Mickey Rourke meets the Big Lebowski. Like, it's super weird.
And so this whole story, again, it was really cool. It did a lot of cool things, but I was scratching my head a few times. And I'm going to say I started reading this book, and like the first story in here, I took like a page of notes, a really in-depth summary, super into it. And then after that, I just completely, like one sentence summary to remind me of what it was about. But with Vader Adrift, this isn't so much a what the heck was going on as much as it was like a I just kind of couldn't get the thought away. But I wasn't sure if this version of Vader, this Legends, Vader, if he would respond the way as canon Vader, because I feel like canon Vader would be like, oh, you know me from my past? Okay, you're dead now, and just completely
Yeah, that's a good
erase
point.
any chance of him being alive. But it was a really cool story, so that's all I got to say there.
Yeah, I had the same thought, Rick. Absolutely.
I liked
all right,
this
is it right?
Vader best, though.
Yeah, this was a great
This
Vader.
was a good Vader.
I feel like it
I
depends where he is on the timeline, right? Because if he's like towards the end, like close to his conversion, then like that would make sense that he would be like a little more forgiving, more like trying to reconnect with Anakin.
Yeah, and also like the closer he is to the Clone Wars, then it's like you see him trying to
Yeah.
actively. Yeah, I loved that Vader and also the Vader in the Ray Sloan story. I thought were both
Yeah.
very, very well written Vaders. I really liked them a lot.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up tonight, we've got a few other little tidbits and Easter eggs before we close this sucker down. Because, whoa, what an episode it has been. We've mentioned a few little things, some little mistakes here and there, some things that were odd about the book, like the Paul S. Kemp, Christy Golden author mix-up.
That's
Not totally
wild.
Sure what happened
That's
there.
insane.
The book getting postponed as far as it did. But the cool thing there is it was actually released. Its release date it was May the 4th, as in be with you. So that's a big deal. Pretty cool thing. I mean, how many Star Wars books can you say were released on May the 4th?
Not
And
enough,
also with you.
frankly. Not enough.
That's right. If you've heard it here first, folks, you should just delay all Star Wars books forever until May the 4th.
Oh my God!
They
Please
might.
no.
One day,
Please
might.
don't.
one day a year, we release them all. Now, many of the Legends short stories in this volume, interestingly enough, I spent a good bit of the week trying to track down this bad boy. Del Rey does these yearly samplers. I don't know if they still do. They did for a long time. A sampler with little bits of stories, and in canon they've been just chapter excerpts from the canon books. But in Legends, in fact, they would reprint a lot of the Star Wars Insider exclusive fiction, these short stories, into their yearly samplers. And so many of the short stories we've talked about tonight were available in the 2011 and 2012 samplers, which were not available as ebooks as the samplers are now. They were only available at conventions in print, and actually getting your hands on them once again would lead you down to a very expensive rabbit hole. And so don't even try to find these classic samplers in print. I've got to have them, though. I've got to have them, man. Now that I know that they're out there and they have fiction in them, like exclusive, like full stories instead of just chapter excerpts. One of these days, I'm going to have to collect all these things. Now, what else? Blade Squadron was the first Insider short story, as far as I know, the first story outside of the films in the Clone Wars TV series that was part of the new canon. And so kind of the first entry into canon, which is super cool. And then, let's see, did you add one to my list, Freddie? What'd you put here?
What's that?
You added material into my show notes that I'm like, I didn't write this. The glitter stem thing. Yeah. We got there. Now, I want to ask this before we wrap up tonight. What are your hopes for future volumes in the series? We've got volume 1 out, volume 2 on the way, possibly, hopefully, maybe. We've got stories announced for it. We've got cover art. It's going to happen, right? There's a notorious shortage in the supply chain and publishing right now. We'll cut them some slack. No criticism from us. Eric, as our special guest, what are your hopes from a future volume in this series? Specifically, we've got some canon short stories coming out these days.
I would hope that the future volumes in this series do a little more with the kind of isolated stories that you don't need too much info from. Like you said, you did a great job of telling everyone like what ties into what book. And I think going forward, I would rather those short stories are printed in the back of the paperbacks of the Legends books now, because I think that's so awesome, right? You finish your paperback, and then it's like, wait, there's a short story that was originally in the magazine that is now in this paperback that you can continue. I think that's much better. And I mean, you're going to sell less, unfortunately, because not as many people are buying reprints. I get that monetarily. But for a package, I think having more stories in volume 2 that were like the Cad Bane story or like the Vader story at the beginning, like ones that are just literal short stories, not part of a larger thing, that's what I would love. And I think that would be a lot more accessible. And I think it would introduce a lot of us that maybe haven't read as many Legends or canon short stories as a whole. It could introduce you to a lot of cool new characters and you would get a full snippet and feel a little more, I don't know, like I'm just doing like food metaphors. You'd feel a little more full after reading each story than being like, wait, which book was I supposed to read before that? So that's what I would dig. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm never going to pick up a short story unless it ties specifically into one of the books that we're doing a roundtable on, because I want to be really thorough, and I'm weird like that because I'm running a whole show over here. Or if it's all packaged into one volume. So I do like that. My hope for one of these would be to have a thematic book. So
That'd be
all
lovely.
the stories that tie into the Clone Wars, a Clone Wars edition.
Mhm.
Or, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
High Republic, once we've got enough of
That
those
would be
out.
really
I just
good.
got my Insider number 200, and this is a very skinny spine, 205, featuring a short story I have yet to read. But they're doing these now. They just started back up earlier this year with High Republic exclusive fiction. We've got Past Mistakes Part 1 by friend of Eugenie, Kevin Scott. I'm so very excited to get into that. We've got, 5 of these out now? Love to see these bad boys all in one hardcover volume to go on my High Republic shelf. Alongside that lightsaber, I'm going to build one of these days, but if I can ever get out the galaxy's edge. Okay, Emily, how about you? What would be your hope for a future volume?
Well, as we were promised a short story about Darth Revan on this one, I would really like to see a Darth Revan story in Volume 2. Revan is amazing.
This was on the Amazon page.
Yes. So I'm just going to set the bar fairly low. I just want Revan. I don't care about when or what. I just want to read more.
Yeah, this drove me nuts. I'm so glad you mentioned this. I almost missed it. On Amazon, if you go to this book profile page, first go to utini.com and then search for the Star Wars Insider Fiction Collection Volume 1.
Get the clicks.
And then click the link and get the click through. All right. The description for this says, featuring short stories starring familiar characters such as Han Solo, Princess Leia, Lando Calrissian, Darth Vader. This collection also includes tales supporting characters such as Darth Plagueis, Hondo Ohnaka, Captain Rex, and Darth Revan. 3 of those characters are not even in this book.
No, that's wild.
There's no Captain Rex, no Darth Revan, no Princess Leia. Maybe Volume 2? I've been looking to see if there is even a Revan short story, and I don't think there was ever one written for anything.
Maybe
feel
they're
like
like,
there
all right,
really
we need
needs to
keywords.
be
We need
one."
we need keywords. What do you want to put in this summary?
I know.
We need the analytics.
I know. All right. Anybody else? Your hopes for Volume 2. Who else hasn't gone? Rick, Freddie, somebody else.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I'll just kind of reiterate what you guys said. You had said some good ideas. I mentioned that I think the stories did do a good job standing on their own, but you guys kind of convinced me. I think had they put a paragraph or something, just letting us know what the connections were. Not even spoiling the other books, but just a little snippet saying, hey, if you like this, check out these
Yeah.
novels.
yeah.
It's a great way to kind of hear more of the story. That would have really been good for me. So maybe
Yeah, hey, Titan,
Volume 2 will
hire
have that.
our buddy Rick Grace.
Yeah,
You know,
y'all
he can
have
you out.
great
He's got some
ideas.
good
These are all
There you
really
go.
good.
Yeah.
Freddie, did you want a chance?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Final thoughts. Well, first of all, I had a little moment. I saw Reputation because I didn't read it. I looked at the art and I was like, I've read this one, and I just found out right now that they released this story in an issue during Star Wars Celebration, and I want to say it tied in with one of the cartoons as well, and it gave you an idea of like who Cad Bane was, like how he
Right.
got some of his tricks and stuff like that, and it was released at C6.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, oh, that's where I've seen it. Little background info, timeline when that came out.
Nice.
But what I'd like to see is some freaking dates on here, man.
Yeah.
Like, when is this? When is this? BBY
Yes. Yeah, you kind of have to figure it
ABY
out.
what?
Dates would have been really nice too. Or it would be nice for
Oh, yeah.
Volume 2.
I really
yeah.
got to know the Wook throughout the reading of this.
Yeah,
And only to discover that it has very little information on any of these.
yeah, totally.
So we'll have to
Completely.
send our buddy Trev over there to fix it. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. It's been a really unusual book, an unusual roundtable. We've got, however, our usual guest, the most frequent guest on Legends Look Back. Glad to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks for coming.
Eric,
Thanks.
sorry we subjected you to such a weird grab bag of Legends stories.
What is good about Star Wars if it's not super weird at times, right? That's why we love
Absolutely.
it. And there were some gems.
Well-
Honestly, I never would have read some of these stories had this thing not come out. And now I got some of my favorite short stories I've ever read because of this. So it's all worth it.
Absolutely. Well, if you want something else that's definitely worth it, our next roundtable is going to be the new Rogue Squadron audiobook coming out next month. Well, the book is already out. But we're going to do our roundtable next month. We're deep in the middle of listening to this. I think, you've got one, Eric.
I
Beautiful.
do. Essential Legends collection. Look at that.
It's beautiful.
I just love it when Eric says Legends. I don't know about y'all. We're going to do Rogue Squadron next. After that, we are going to do the Darth Bane trilogy. We're still ironing out the details on exactly how many episodes we're going to do. Do we do
God,
two
they're
per
so
book
good.
or two for the whole trilogy? We're going to do Bane again. Eric, you were infamously on our episode that Freddie couldn't make.
That's
when you and I talked
right.
about
That's
Bane's
right.
Path of Destruction. For our audio-only listeners, that's out pre-live stream days if you want to listen to that and hear Eric's take on Darth Bane Path of Destruction. Besides that, we're going to get to that trilogy later on this year here on Legends Look Back. If you want to follow along with us, now's your chance. Pick up that Essential Legends collection or the audiobook written by the ever wonderful Jonathan Davis. Does a great job with those. Our next episode, however, before the next roundtable, is going to be, we're going to get to know our new hosts. We've got both Emily and Rick having joined us here. We're going to do a little bit of get to know you on Legends Look Back. We're going to talk about our favorite moments in the Star Wars fandom. We'll play some of Eric's stupid games. We'll do a little bit of that, even
They're the
without
best.
Eric. So that does it for this week. Thank you for joining us here on Let's Look Back. The chat has been popping off tonight. Thank you so much to our incredible listeners for being here for the ride with us. I want to say thank you to Rick, our producer, and to our incredible patrons for your support. I want to thank specifically Cheryl Bell, Jeremy Kazina, Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander, and OK Indar on our Jedi High Council, as well as Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Sally and Chris Eilersen. Where have I heard that name before?
Look at them.
And Freddie C. on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. If you want some of your thoughts read on the show, you want some input here, hey, you can get in touch with us in a variety of ways. You can email us at legendslookback@utini.com. You can send us a message in the Legends Look Back Discord channel, which has really been having a lot of great discussion lately. People are like, I just read this Legends book. Let's talk about it. Or when's the next episode of Legends Look Back? Or how can I know what books are coming up on Legends Look Back? Hey, the Discord channel is the
Here we
place to be for all of that. Besides that, you can leave a comment on this episode on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter as well at Legends Look Back. Or personally, I'm at Jared Q. Mays. Freddie,
At Wake Up Freddy.
Rick,
Rick_Grace.
Emily,
Darth Daybeck.
and Eric.
Eric Eilersen.
Wonderful. If you're looking to buy some of these books and want to help support the show, you can look up a book on Utini, click the Amazon link, or we got a lot of links these days, don't we? Just more than
Bookshop,
just
Books a
Amazon.
Million. Bookshop does independent bookstores, so they need some help right now. Go for it.
Cool, thank you, Eric. I knew there was something there you could help us out with. And let us know, leave us, give us a few cents to help keep the lights on. Click through those links. Or, hey, if you've read a book, go on over and leave us a review and let us know what you think. Regardless of what you think, please keep the Utini fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. Good night, everybody. Let's roll that again. Good night, everybody. And may the force be with you.
Nailed it.
So close.
This is a Utini broadcast.